Greetings, players. Let me pose a question to you. Have you ever gotten in the league, threw a shot on the odd lane, set up for you real nice, only to go back on the even lane and have the same shot take three off the left? And you sit there and wonder, wait a minute, how are these lanes playing so differently? And you look at the lane guy and want to give him a swift kick to the nuts. Hey, we've all been there. Lord knows I've been there too. But as it turns out, you can't exactly blame the oil guy. Not all the time anyway. I mean, all he's doing is pushing a button. But there's another thing that I realized that has a dramatic effect on ball motion. So I put together this little presentation for you. Hope you enjoy it. Check it out. Greetings, players. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whatever the part of the world you're tuning in from. My name is Creighton, and this is another episode of the Kegler's Revolution. Today's topic is about lane surface, namely topography. Well, let's see. Why do players seem to neglect topography when it affects ball motion so much? Well, could be out of sight, out of mind. I mean, the depressions, crowns, and cross tilts are so small we can't see them, but best believe your bowling ball does see them. So, was it a big deal in the past? Well, that depends on what you're talking about by past. I mean, if we're talking about 1970s and 80s, no, it wasn't a really big deal because the balls were not as sensitive to those changes, and with everybody having wood lanes all the time, and the USBC or ABC back then was regulating every 2 years they had to be resurfaced. It wasn't the biggest deal. Like I was saying, the USBC we're used to regulate that. Now they don't. Well, they do, but not to the degree because there's the synthetic lanes. They can only do so much with that, I suppose. There's more information out there about that. I'm not exactly the furthest guru on resurfacing or whatever, but I know that they have to keep a certain degree of levelness throughout, and they don't. And some people believe it's just way too complicated, so they don't just want to think about it, which is a crying shame because it's a variable that affects ball motion so much. So why is lane shape so important?
And I will tell you why. Just like a golf course, bowling lanes have slopes, hills, valleys, and cross tilts, namely called crowns and depressions. Like I said before, you may not be able to see them, but believe me, your bowling ball does, and it drastically affects ball motion and entry angle and launch angle and all kinds of other variables that have to do with you striking at will.
And so in conclusion, what we learned is it's not just the oil pattern that drastically affects ball path, and it's not just the lane type that affects the energy into the pins, but today's players must account for the topography of the lane as well. We have wood lanes that are one thing, and we have the panel overlays and synthetics that are just totally warped in different ways, but each one of them can drastically affect the ball motion. So you ask, well, how the hell do you do that when you can't see the hills, valley slopes, and whatnot? And I say one way is to go read up and study on the new lane mapper technology from Kegel. Here's a link to that article. That's the best way to do it. I mean, if you don't have a lane map in front of you, just like if you don't have an oil pattern mapper in front of you too, you just gotta read your ball reaction and pay attention to exactly what's going on here. So that's about it. Like I said, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, subscribe to the page on YouTube, and watch the TV channel live stream. I like it. Okay, so what you just saw was a brief introduction into the discussion of lane topography and lane shape. I'm going to do a lot more videos with regard to topography in the near future. But right now, what I need you to do is take a look at that interview that the Phantom did with Ted Thompson from Kegel, and that link is right there, kegel.net, phantom.mp3. That's the current one. And then what I need for you to do is head over to YouTube and type in Kegel Road Trip Series, like it says down there, and take a look at all of that seminar, talking about topography. It was very enlightening. So go do that now. And also don't forget to check out that Kegel lane mapping technology that's just been presented. That article is at also at kegel.net. So until next time, I am Creighton. This has been the Kegler's Re-Evolution, and you have been officially enlightened. Holla.